Hello and welcome to another insightful session of Ask PB, your go-to series for all things insurance. Today, we are going to talk about something that is very important to every traveler, travel insurance. Did you know that 30% travelers regret not investing in travel insurance on time? Today, we are going to understand why it is a must-have for your next trip. We have with us today Meet Kapadia, who leads the travel insurance business for PolicyBazaar.com. He will help us with key exclusions, important features, and everything you should keep in mind before you plan your next trip. But before we start, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Welcome to the show, Meet.
Thanks, Umang.
So, Meet, what exactly is travel insurance and why is it essential for every traveler to have this?
So, travel insurance is basically your coverage or your security while you are traveling abroad. And basically, while you are traveling abroad, there are three kinds of cover that one needs. First is the protection of himself or herself while they are traveling, health-wise or accident-wise. Second is the coverage of the goods or the things that they are carrying with themselves. So in that is like the coverage of the belongings. And third is that any important documentation or any other type of activity specifically that you are going to participate into, like adventure sports or something like that. All these things comprehensively makes up a travel insurance. So it is basically a combination of your coverage of your belongings as well as your health while you are traveling on a foreign land.
Can you tell me what is the difference between travel insurance, student coverage, and corporate coverage?
A travel insurance, while being compared with a student travel insurance, is more of an additional coverage that a student can get while they are abroad, right? So basically what we have seen is that all the universities, all the leading universities in the world, while they provide students with a certain insurance while they are on campus, there are certain coverages which are missing. For example, a normal travel insurance would cover an entire geography, whereas most of the university insurance only cover that the part of the university or the state in which the university is located, right? So for example, if I'm going to study to Sydney and then I take a trip to Melbourne, in that case Sydney would be covered in my student policy, but Melbourne might not be covered. So in order to get those kind of coverages, while I'm traveling, because my stay would be for 2 years, it is better to take a student travel policy. Apart from the geography, other coverages such as the sponsor protection or medical evacuation in days of emergencies, or if you fall ill and somebody needs to travel from India and stay with you, right? Those kind of coverages are also available into travel insurance, which we usually see are not covered in your normal university insurances. So that's one way. Of course the student university insurance are mandatory. But we also have to see that the holistic coverage is only given by the student travel plans. So that can be taken as an add-on,
Right.
and they are always available at a very nominal price compared to what the student travel policies are. So that way they're different. Corporate policies are slightly have a limited coverage or are defined for a group of travelers. So it will not give you the individual cover which you might need. So for example, most of the group travel policies would have a coverage of $50,000 while you are abroad. Whereas if you buy a retail travel policy or a individual travel policy, in those cases, the coverages, you will have a variety of coverages, right, starting from $50,000 until $10 lakh.
Right.
So you can choose from that. Your coverages and your different features also keeps on changing. A corporate policy or a group policy might have just a nomenclature that only 15 or 16 coverages are there, whereas when you buy an individual policy, there are like more than 30-40 coverages which are available.
A lot of people tend to believe that travel insurance only covers flight delays or cancellations, but that's not true, right? So, can you tell me what else does travel insurance cover?
That's a very common misconception that I also come across on a daily basis. But a travel insurance is a holistic product because it covers three parts of your journey. First is the medical coverage, where it gives you a coverage against any personal accident or any kind of medical incident that happens while you are on a foreign land. It also gives you trip-related coverages, which we just mentioned. That for if your trip gets cancelled for undue reasons, if there is government advisory, that you cannot travel to a country, your trip gets cancelled because of those reasons. Your flight gets delayed. There is a connecting flight, you miss that. All these coverages are also covered into travel insurance. Apart from that, there is also a segment where personal liability is covered. So for example, if you are in foreign land and if you face any personal liability or accident, even those coverages are offered into travel insurance policies, as well as, and we also have policies which cover personal belongings. So for example, if you lose your passport, your important document, etc., in those cases also we have the travel insurance getting you covered. So it's a three-way product. It covers who is traveling, with what all things is he traveling, and what are the important things that he's carrying while traveling. So these are the three coverages that is available in travel insurance.
Are there specific features or specific add-ons that travelers should look for while buying their policy?
Medically, there are a couple of things which one should keep in mind. If you are suffering from any pre-existing disease, in those cases certain plans have pre-existing disease covered into them. So you should make sure that you are only purchasing policies where the PEDs are covered, and you have mentioned those PEDs to the insurers beforehand, so that it helps you while you are claiming, if in case the claim arises. And the second part is that while you medical evacuation is one such feature which you should look forward to, because in case you need to be medically evacuated from any country, then those kind of features has to be kept in mind. If you are traveling to certain geographies or certain destinations where you're going to participate into adventure sports, or you are trying to you are going to get some experiences like skydiving or parasailing, adventure sports is one additional cover which should be taken, because it gives you an additional coverage to the already medical cover which is available. So those are the few features which can be focused upon.
The COVID-19 pandemic has sort of pushed travel insurance to evolve further. What are the biggest changes that have come about, and how are medical emergencies abroad handled by travel insurance?
So after COVID-19, what we are seeing is there is a huge rise in the awareness among the travelers that why should they buy a travel policy, because the medical emergencies that might occur due to any pandemic, or for example in recent scenarios, monkeypox is one of the very famous endemic which is going on the world stage. So even WHO has declared it as an emergency, right? Those kind of cases can be covered while you are abroad. If you get contaminated, or if you are suffering from this diseases, then the medical insurance will cover you for that. So that awareness is now among the people. Second is medical evacuation, which I just mentioned, right? People are now aware about that there is a feature called medical evacuation, which they are seeking actively, because it helps them to bring back to their own country in case they are stuck over there. And yeah, so that's the way the approach of people has changed, only from trip-related coverages to medical coverages post the pandemic.
Can you explain the end-to-end process of filing a claim in travel insurance?
To file the claims, we have a simple two-step process. You just reach out to our Policy Bazaar's claim number, and you just let us know that what kind of claim are you seeking. There are certain supporting documents which are required. So if you are facing a medical urgency or medical emergency, there might be a prescription of doctor which is required. Your admission letter to the hospital might be required to cross verify the details before settling up the claims. If there is a loss of baggage, or in case of loss of baggage by the flight or the airlines, in those cases you will need a letter of loss of baggage from the airlines, which needs to be submitted, because they have to declare that we have lost the baggage. And in case there is a loss of passport, in those cases, in certain cases FIRs are also required, that you have lost your passport, or there is an embassy letter which can be available from different embassies that can be produced. Right. As a proof of that you have lost the passport. So those kind of documentations are usually required, which support your claim. That's the only two steps which we have to follow.
Before we move on to the audience questions, can you sum up your advice to all the travelers watching this?
First of all, you need to consider that you need to buy travel insurance, because as I told, that it gives you a comprehensive cover where you're traveling abroad for a very nominal price, right? And it is always good to travel hassle free. And you have to see that your travel insurance covers you holistically. There has to be a medical cover. You have to also see that in medical cover you have a personal accident cover available. You also have certain kind of conditions which are usually kept out of the coverages. So you should make sure that you go through those kind of coverages medically which are available. You should also look at that if there is trip-related covers, if sufficient trip-related covers are available or not. There are sufficient personal liability covers available or not. So in certain cases, the personal liability covers goes up to the sum insured. So if I have taken a $2.5 lakh of coverage, my personal liability would be covered up to the sum insured. So those kind of coverages should be kept in mind, because in cases where you will need to use this kind of coverages really comes handy. Personal liability is something that while I'm traveling abroad, if let's say that I happen to meet with an accident, or because of me, if let's say I have taken a driving license in foreign, I'm driving a car and I damage somebody's car. In those cases, personal liability is something that damage done from my side to third party,
Right.
which is my liability being covered by the insurance. Personal liability is usually a common feature which is available by default. It is
Okay.
not an add-on, and yeah. So I mean,
It's not an
it's not an add-on. It's a holistic cover which is already available in your basic plans.
Now it's time for our audience questions.
Sure.
I'm traveling to multiple countries in Europe over 3 months. Does travel insurance cover all the countries I'm visiting, or are there any specific limitations I should know about?
All the travel policies which are provided by the Indian insurers do cover the entire geographies. So, for example, if I'm traveling to multiple countries of Europe, the entire Europe geography would be covered while I'm buying a travel insurance. So that's in a way we can say that the entire geography is covered. So all the countries of the Europe are covered. But at the same time, we also have to make sure that we are not traveling to any restricted zones. And when I say restricted zones, it's like countries which has restricted travel at that point in time due to any XYZ reasons. It can be a pandemic, it can be civil issues which are going on into that countries, or our government of India has already established a guidelines that the traveling to this country should be avoided. These are the two factors which should be considered while you are planning to visit multiple countries. Otherwise, the geographies will cover almost the entire globe.
I have a pre-existing medical condition. How does travel insurance work in such cases? Are there policies that specifically cater to travelers with existing health issues?
Almost all the leading travel insurers which are available in India do cover pre-existing diseases. The only condition is that we have to mention it while we are buying the policy. So while you buy a travel policy, they will ask you that whether there is a pre-medical existing condition or not. You just have to mention yes, and then you have to declare that what conditions do you suffer from, so that in case a claim arises, they can help you with that, because that way it's a more transparent relation that you establish with the insurer. Now coming to the coverage, let's say if I am traveling with a sum insured of $2.5 lakh, in those cases, and certain insurance offer up to $12,500 of coverage for a life-threatening condition arising out of the pre-medical condition. That is how the pre-medical conditions are covered. In case any life-threatening condition arises due to my PED, in those cases, I'll be getting the benefit up to $12,500.
I'm planning an adventure sports trip that includes scuba diving and mountain climbing. Does travel insurance cover sports injuries, or do I need a specialized policy?
A normal travel insurance policy does not cover adventure sports by default. There might be a couple of exceptions available which might cover adventure sports by default, but 80% of travel insurance do not cover adventure sports by default, because it's a special kind of sports that you're going to participate into. So my advice would be that while you are traveling while planning certain activities, you should always go and get these add-ons. These add-ons are already available, where you can add adventure sports as one of the features in your plan, and you can pay a little more amount for that, and you can get those covers of adventure sports.
Thank you so much for all of those insights, Meet. I'm sure it has been very, very helpful to all of our viewers. And viewers, if you still have any questions whatsoever, you can reach out to us through our official channels, or you can just drop a comment below and we'll take it up in the next session. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you again next time.